Next time you see Big Leff, give him a hug. Man has had a rough week. Here's the thing about Leffen. I think he has not realized how the Tekken community works. He didn't do his research. The Tekken community is going to talk shit on him. But if he wants to win them over, he can't call them toxic and say that they're boomers and say that they make him upset and admit that, right? Instead of admitting that ASD is very nice for dropping the 2 months, like, he's playing it wrong. You have to call them bitches. You remember when Sweatpants came in here and said to stop touching my hair? I said, hey, shut up, bitch. I'll touch my hair as much as I want, you motherfucker. You think you own the place? Get out. Go on, get. That's what you have to do. You have to take the fight to them. But he doesn't have it in his heart to call you guys bitches. And that's the problem, right? He gets so... It beats him up too much. You got to have fun with it and just talk some shit, right? You got to know that the person who streams Tekken is Eris, and he's trained the audience to be masochists. They're into that shit. They probably have like the tier 3 Patreon subs to all those people now. Just like I got this tier 3 to Pedantic Sim, who's dropped the big 34 months. Holy shit. I feel bad for poor Leffen sometimes when I look at it. Because I know a lot of you guys, right? You think to yourselves, well, Leffen's just, he's being a crybaby or he's upset about it or whatever. Like, the thing for me is I just imagine living my life that way, right? Where like everything is just so frustrating. It makes you so upset and it tears you up. And literally every day when he streams, he has to make a tweet that's like, have you guys ever read any like old novels that are set in like the 1800s or something like that? And you read the letters that like sailors or like explorers write to their families back home. That's kind of what his Twitter reminds me of every day when he finishes streaming. Dear Abigail, I write to you again on another cursed day. The weather is bad, and it looks like we won't make it on our journey. We have 75 days left on the road, and only 4 days of rations. The rain has been brutal. The conditions unfavorable. But yet, we press on. It's like every day he writes this on his Twitter, right? And he's like so upset about Smash Ultimate or like tournaments or like fucking the sky is blue or something. Like, it's always something that is bumming him out. And I'm like, man, imagine if it was like that every day, right? Or like every day you were an explorer in the 1800s on a boat, risking your life to explore the reaches of the world in a dangerous time. It just seems like so stressful to me. I just want to tweet him and be like, hey bud, it's gonna be okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude, imagine Leffen if he was in my shoes at Capcom Cup and he did my job. He wouldn't be able to survive, I think. He'd been fired. They'd have kicked him off the fucking Novo balcony. You know what I mean? He wouldn't have made it. He wouldn't have lived. Imagine the tweets he would have sent. But in general, the tweets, right? I feel bad for him every time I see him type it. I feel like he needs to chill out a bit. It's tough to be like that, right? But it's like, that's really what I think. I think to myself, it would be okay if you just chilled a little bit. You guys know how it is when you harbor that kind of hatred in your life or that kind of frustration or sadness, when it's harbored every day in your body, it's no good for you. That stuff's bad for you. You got to get it out of there. I wonder if weed is legal in Sweden. My man needs to chill. It is illegal? Oh, boy. Well, I'll see some more tweets on my timeline then. Life's never that. It's fine. Like, I think sometimes, in situations like this, I was having a conversation with someone. I was working at an event, and I won't say who it was, but somebody was being very irresponsible. It's not somebody you guys know. It's not Broody Crow who dropped the big tier 1. Thanks very much. It was many years ago, and it's not someone in fighting games. And it was someone there who was like, we did a rehearsal, and then the next day I remember them saying like, hey everybody, you guys got to show up tomorrow at this time or whatever. Like, don't be irresponsible. We'll meet here the next day or whatever. We'll meet Subaka, who dropped the big Twitch Prime. And we're all getting paid to do this event, and it's, we're getting paid pretty well. And I remember that person didn't show up, and they made a bunch of excuses, and they were like really great. Like, they were super mad, and they were like being a super diva about it. And I remember turning to someone else who was there with me and saying like, we like get to play and talk about video games for a living. And in this case, we were making a lot of money to do so. The amount of like negative energy they had in their soul and body, they couldn't realize how cool of a job they had and just show up on time and get paid for a cool event. I have to constantly remind people, I think, in video games, like, hey man, I know you're really upset about something right now, but you do realize that you play video games for a living, right? That's pretty fucking cool. Like, when you really think about it, like, man, that shit is sick. And sometimes shit is really stressful and frustrating. It pisses you off. But then you have to realize what you do for a living, and then you're like, well, yeah, it's not so bad. You don't hear me complaining. I'm feeling fucking great. Thanks everybody for coming through. You got to have that perspective. I think people get a lot of people, they don't have they need a little dose of the real world. They need a dose of that Zillion, dropping the big 4 months. Thanks very much. Do I make a living off commentating alone? Yeah. Commentary and Twitch and all the other stuff that I create and everything, all of it. Yeah. I think like when you're young, especially young people who go straight from like high school and other stuff into gaming, like when they're doing their job and they're actually like very successful, I don't think a lot of them realize just about how much money they make compared to like most other people, and also how fucking like cool it is they get to do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Events like this weekend, right? There's a lot of very frustrating, very like tense moments, and there's a lot of things that break you down and they make you feel shitty. But then I think about it and I'm like, at the end of the day, I commentate video games for a living. And my job at Capcom Cup, I don't care what's happening. I had a great time doing what I love to do, which is commentate with some of the best people in the world at it. I got to fucking chill out and watch some great matches. So even if there's a very stressful, hectic event around it that I would love to be better, life goes on. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I feel about it. It's like, well, that shit sucked. But I can't be too broken up or beat up about it. That's how I burnt out at the end of last year. End of last year into this year, I had like 4 or 5 events that really stressed me out. And it stressed me out so much that I was so frustrated that I wanted to like stop. I was like, I don't even know if I should commentate anymore. And then I sat down and thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm just burnt out. I've done too much travel. I've done too many events in a row. I just need some time to chill. So I started streaming. Then after streaming for a bunch, I felt great. And so every time I go to an event now, even if things are off the wall, hectic, wild, I think to myself like, well, I'll go back home to my stream. I'll go chat with them. You got to recompose in your brain and just be like, it's going to be okay. It's different when you're competing though. I mean, sure, but like if you're a top competitor who's making a fat stack of money from your salary from your team and streaming and all this other stuff, I think you'll feel great. You know who's a good example of this? You should look at Hook's Twitter. Right, you should take a look at Hook and take a look at Zero Next, dropping the big Twitch Prime. He tweets like once a month and is like, man, I am the most blessed human in the world to do what I do. I'm so happy doing it. I love streaming. This shit got me from the ghetto to like a real nice house. It pays for me to live in a fucking great place. I can't believe how fantastic this is. I honestly can't believe how far video games have taken me in life. It's changed my life. It's incredible. That perspective is so important because when you have that perspective, when you have bad days, then it gives you that extra bit of like, you know, oh shit, I see. Anyway, yeah, Capcom Cup was rough. I can't believe they didn't stream the LCQ. It made me so sad when I heard it. I couldn't believe it. There are so many sad things that happened about that. I was so bummed out about that, honestly. Anyway, I feel bad for poor Leffen. Everybody's roasting him. I feel bad for him. Somebody said that some people think streaming is hard. I think streaming can be hard. If you're not good looking and you don't have this lovely audience like me who supports my lovely, beautiful, giant pimpled face, then, you know, it can be tough out there. So what I'm saying is just be real hot. Yeah, I think streaming can be pretty tough on the psyche if you're not careful, you know. It's easy for a bad stream to tear you down, I think. I think also it's important to take those breaks too, you know? You look at the stream chat and you're like, Jesus, I gotta talk to these dweebs. There's always something and you'll be like, God damn it, this stream fucking sucked. Yeah, it's like Sasuke, right? Like, I feel like even once the Hidden Leaf Village is saved, Sasuke is kind of moping around and life is real tough. Like, you know, I'm like, the Leaf Village is doing okay, man. We're like, you know, it's a time of peace. And like, he just can't pull it out of him. It's like, look, man, you don't have to compete in Ultimate. You're your own being now. You should just be happy and enjoy your life, you know? And he's just like, no. He needs the suffering to make him feel complete. That's just how I think about it. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm big chilling. You know, I feel like I'm sizable chilling at all times. The funniest thing to me is actually he hates Smash Ultimate. He constantly tweets about how much he hates it and it's a bad competitive game. And then like also he makes fun of people who are like, why don't you just stop playing? Like when people ask him that, he's like, why don't you just stop playing? Like, you know, he makes fun of them. And I'm like, no, seriously, like, why don't you just stop playing? You know what I mean? Like, I don't actually understand the logic on, like, why he keeps playing. He said it makes him the most money. Is it actually money? That's miserable. Look, man, Leffen, There's 1,500 people watching you play Tekken right now, right? Like, you can stream some other shit. Nobody wants to watch you be miserable. Just play some shit that you have fun with. I think that's something that's so important to understand as a streamer, right? I don't know. It's a mystery. It's a mystery when people come in here and they're like, I hate Street Fighter. Ugh. I'm like, you clicked on a Street Fighter stream. I don't know what to tell you. Pizza shows up to your house and it's burning hot. And I'm like, hey, that pizza's really hot. And you're just like, and you take a bite, you're like, oh my God, my tongue is all I'm like, yeah, well, it's fucking hot. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You know, you knew what you were getting into. Fire hot. I don't know. Maybe in Leffen's case, they enjoy the suffering. And maybe it's because he enjoys the suffering. Like, imagine, you stream Smash Ultimate, you're miserable with 2,500 subs. And then you don't stream Smash Ultimate, you're a happy human being with 1,700 subs or something or whatever it is. Like, to me, I would just take the less sub count and not be miserable. You know what I mean? Like, you paid your time. You'd paid your dues. You know what I mean? You already streamed the game and fucking, you played it. You had fun for a while. And then you ended up miserable. So now you switched. I don't think my happiness is worth sacrifice or the sacrifice to get the subs. At least for me. I think in the long run, you should focus on your happiness as a human. Especially when you're a streamer like that. If you're comfortable doing what you're doing, you should just stream what you enjoy streaming and not worry so much about everything else. Leffen's a dweeb. He is definitely a dweeb. I'm a fan. He's a friend. He's definitely a dweeb. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem that hard.